Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Conference Tracker Tech Tuesday. Today we'll be going over the Attendee Check-In system. Today's presenters will be myself, Chad Blodgett. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Engineerica Systems. We'll also have Garrett Effers, who is our Software Support Representative for Conference Tracker. There's a couple of announcements before we get into the webinar itself. And if you're not familiar with our Tech Tuesday, it's every third Tuesday of the month at 1 Eastern. We not only go over our tech talk, but we also go over announcements, which could include latest updates, what's new in Conference Tracker, and maybe what's upcoming in Conference Tracker. Obviously, our tech talk section, and at the end we will have a live Q&A where we'll answer any questions that you have. Now, before we begin, just let everyone know that today's webinar will be recorded. So after the recording is uploaded, we're going to go ahead and send it to everyone who came to the webinar and also everyone who registered. So if you want to watch it again, you want to send it to someone else, you'll have the recording. Now, as you may have noticed, everyone will be muted during the presentation just to kind of keep down the background noise. And at any time, you can submit any questions that you have to the questions section. After the webinar, we're going to go over those questions. We may even answer the questions live during the webinar. So again, put your questions in that section. Now, to submit those questions, you should see a little orange or red arrow. You'll see the questions section, and you'll be able to enter your question there. And again, we may answer it while the webinar is happening, or we may wait until the end and let everyone know what the answer is to your question as well. So I want to go out first, what is check-in? So, a big part of what Conference Tracker is a tracking software, right? We track the attendance to your various sessions, whether it's just for attendance or for calculating continuing education or credits. But we have a check-in feature as well. So it allows you to check in your attendees to see their event, each day for your in-person events. Not only does it allow you to see who has checked into your event that day, but also allows you to keep track of any type of handouts that you're giving out to your attendees, whether it's a badge, a conference bag, meal tickets, whatever it might be. It allows you to leave notes at check-in as well. You can print out badges on site. So we're going to kind of go over how can we have an attendee check in and even print out their badge on site rather than printing them ahead of time. And you can even create new attendees. So if it's an attendee that is not registered comes to your event, I'm going to show you how we can either register them or how you can simply create the new attendees from that check-in system. Now, I'll just kind of go over how you enable check-in. So if you're familiar with Conference Tracker, and you're signed in as an administrator, you simply go to Conference, click on Setup, and then there'll be a section where it says Check-in. And once you click there, you're really going to scroll all the way down until you see the check-in option under the Conference Setup. This is not only where you can enable check-in for your events, but also where you can enable the handouts. Same thing with like invoices, badges, certificates, and CEU reports. So if you set up your conference with us before, you probably know this section already. But again, you just go to Conference Setup, scroll all the way down, and you'll be able to enable the check-in portion of Conference Tracker here. Now, there's actually two ways to check attendees in. And we're going to go over both of them. One of them being a self-serving kiosk mode. This will allow the attendee to simply walk up to a kiosk and check themselves in, even print out their own badge or register to your event if they're not currently registered. We also have a staff check-in option. Allows your staff, maybe behind the registration booth, to check attendees in as you're giving them their badge and any type of handouts. You'll be able to check them into your event. Now, to do option one, which is creating the check-in kiosk stations, if you click on your attendees and the check-in, and then you're going to see something called check-in stations, and Garrett's going to walk you through this when we get into the software. But you'll be able to create these check-in stations. So you can have as many check-in stations as you like. So if you wanted, 5 self-serving kiosks, you could actually create 5 of them. for attendees to come in and check themselves in. Not only do you give the station a name, you can also give it instructions, and then you can determine at that specific check-in station, what do you want attendees to be able to do? So obviously we're going to allow them to check in, but we can also allow them to print their badge or update their contact information, or even allow new registrations through the check-in kiosk as well. One other thing that just to point out is you can, because you can have as many check-in stations as you like, you could have a check-in station that is just for new registrations, one for printing, so you can actually section them out, determine which kiosk offers which features when checking in. Now, to install a check-in station, so if you're using a laptop, PC, Mac, an iPad, maybe you have a single badge printer connected to it as well. Once you have created the various stations and you have gone to the computer, again, the device you want to use to be a check-in station, you sign in as an administrator, go to your check-in stations, you'll click on where I have this one, registration desk 2 and registration desk 1. I click on the 3 dots and I'm going to be able to install it onto that device. What that does is now when I sign out as an administrator out of Conference Tracker, it's going to go straight into a kiosk mode. So now it will be a check-in station for your event. And again, Garrett's going to walk us through this process. Now, option 2, let's say you don't want self-serving kiosks for your attendees. You want a staff member to check them in as they walk into the event. To do this, all you're going to have to do is when you're signed as an administrator, again, go to attendees, click on check-in, and then you just click on the check attendee in. It's going to take you to this screen. So usually this is done at the registration booth. Attendee is already registered. We just want to check them in to see who came to the event of our registered attendees. Do they come each day? Right. So someone at the registration booth will be on this screen probably, and then they're going to be typing in the attendee's name. It'll find the attendee. I then can see which handouts I've given the attendee, or which handouts have already been given to the attendee. Any type of note that I want to leave on this check-in, as well as any previous check-in. So again, you could check in your attendees for each day of your event, or just for day one. It's totally up to you. But this is a great way to not only check in your attendees, but also keep track of those handouts. And this is to prevent attendees from, getting multiple lunch tickets, meal tickets if they're only supposed to get one, or drink tickets, or something that you've already handed out to them. I can check and see, well, during their last check-ins, did we already give them these things? Now from here, not only can you check in the attendee, but even if I'm working at the registration booth, I'm a staff member and I want to check in attendees, I can also check in and print badge. So if you didn't print badges ahead of time, I can actually check the attendee in and print them on site here as well. Now to create those handouts, so you can create as many handouts as you like, track whatever you want that you're giving to the attendee. To create those, again, you're just going to go to attendees check-in, check-in handouts, and click on the create, and you're going to be able to create as many different handouts as you like so that you can keep track of them. Now, one of the newer features that some of you may not be familiar with is we have an SMS check-in alert now. What this will allow you to do is you can send an alert to yourself when a specific attendee checks in, or you can send an alert to an SMS text message to that attendee as well. So the idea behind this particular feature is if I had, I don't know, a VIP attendee, someone that I want to be notified when they check in at the event, I can choose who the attendee is. I can then choose who the notification is going to be sent to, and I can even have a message. And in this case, it's just going to say Adam Sandler has checked in. So I'll get a text message letting me know that Adam has checked in. You also, again, I could have had a text message being sent to Adam when he gets checked in as well. Hey, now that you've checked in, please see your way down to the exhibit hall, or down to the breakfast in ballroom 1. So I can have custom messages sent to attendees upon check-in. And now we're going to switch it over, and Garrett's actually going to show you how we do these things within the software itself.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for that, Chad. Now, as we're all here, we're going to check out the attendee check-in system. Now, I'm going to give you this demonstration in the order in which you would actually set this up for your event. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, like Chad pointed out, we're going to go to conference and setup, and we're going to make sure that we have the check-in module enabled along with the handouts. And that's going to be down here at the very bottom, and just like that image he showed you in the PowerPoint. And with both of these enabled, we're going to go ahead and hit Save Changes, and we're going to navigate to Attendees Check-In. And this is where you're going to see all your check-in logs on the home page of the check-in screen. From here, the first thing that we're going to want to do is create handouts as soon as we know them. Now, like you can see here, and we had in the PowerPoint, we do have some pre-created, the badge, maybe a swag bag, a raffle ticket, and there's no limit to these check-in handouts. So as many things that you're going to hand your attendees and you want to keep track of, like Chad said, maybe it's drink tickets or a physical map brochure of your event, of the exhibit hall. Maybe it's an itinerary, a schedule of the conference itself on a daily basis, or just for the event in general. We're going to click create, and all that's required is a name. The description is going to be there to help you and to just provide difference between the different handouts. Once we have those created, we're going to go back to the check-in system and we're going to create our check-in stations. Now, like Chad said, these can be done on any device. This can be an iPad, a Mac, PC, laptop, anything that can hold and load the internet is perfect for this. So we're going to click create here. And once again, all that's absolutely required is the name of this check-in station. Maybe you're calling it registration desk. Instructions. Now this is going to be what the users see when they enter the check-in station. So please enter your email to begin, or please sign in here to check into the conference, or maybe just a welcome message. Welcome to the 2023 annual conference. You're also going to have to take this time to enable the features that you want this registration kiosk to be able to handle. Do you have a badge printer on site that you can connect to this device so they can print their badge right there on site? Are we just allowing them to update contact information, maybe add a phone number, a job title, a bio? Are we taking new registrations? Is this going to be an on-site registration kiosk? In which case, and we'll see here soon, there is a button that will be enabled to take them straight to your registration so they can immediately fill it out. As well, we can toggle the CAPTCHA on the registration screen through the check-in kiosk. This is meant to kind of eliminate a choke point as people are going through registration from fighting that CAPTCHA. I know we've all had the experience of proving to a robot that we're not a robot. And once you have all this done, we're going to go ahead and hit save changes for this instance. But if you are on the device itself from this screen, you can immediately save and install the check-in station in one click. With the check-in stations done, if we're logging into the kiosk as an admin to set it up for the first time at the event, you're going to come to your check-in, go to your check-in stations. You're going to click the three dots next to the station you want to install, and of course, you're going to click the install button. Now, I've already done this for the sake of the webinar, so what you're going to see is going to be something like this. You may not see the black bar if you're in full screen mode, or if you're on an iPad, it's going to be a little smaller, of course, but this is what the instructions box was to give you an idea of where that message is displayed. This is that register now link that I was talking about that will take your brand new on-site registering attendee to your registration to fill it out right there at the kiosk. So from here, all they would do if they've already registered for the event, they would type in their email, type in their last name, and they would click check-in. It's then going to ask them, oh, what do you want to do? Do you want to check in and print your badge? Do you already have your badge and you just want to check in? Have you checked in and you just need your badge? Or do you want to update your contact information? And of course, what they select is what's going to reflect next. Now that we've gone over the check-in system and the installation of a check-in system, let's take a look at it from the desk point of view. So if you're going to have a staff member sit at a registration desk with a laptop and physically check these people in, hand them their handouts, and do it that way, like Chad said, you're most likely going to be looking at this screen as a staff member. They can create a new attendee if needed, or they can go straight to the check attendee in, and just like we saw there, they can search for the attendee name, and once that pops up, they can click the name, see all the previous check-ins, add the different handouts that they've already passed the attendee, any notes that are needed, checked in 8:15 at 1:15 p.m. They can just check the attendee in, or if needed, because we're handing them their badge, we're gonna go ahead and check them in and print the badge. What that's gonna do is it's gonna take your staff members straight to your badge type and allow you to print that PDF straight from that screen. It's going to load the PDF. I may not have a badge in this system, but it's going to load the PDF with their badge design and allow them to print a badge directly from check-in. Now, like Chad said, we do have the SMS notifications ability. And like he said, this is going to send a text message to a staff member or to the attendee. So great examples of this would be, like Chad said, if you have a VIP coming, or if you want an alert when your presenters get there, that's a great use for this if you're gonna have your presenters check in as attendees. And this is gonna be that text message just like you saw in the presentation. You're gonna select your attendee, you're gonna select who you wanna send that notification to, and then customize your message however you want it to be. Now, along with the check-in system, we also have exports that are directly related to the check-in system that I want to show off briefly while I have you. To do that, we're going to go to Advanced Options, Export Data, and if you scroll down in this list, we're going to have 3 different ones available. We have the actual check-in logs export, the attendees with no check-in export. These are the people who haven't checked in. And then we also have an export that'll show you a list of the handouts that have been delivered. And of course, like all of our exports, this is available in CSV, HTML, and Excel 2007, 2010 format. But with that being said, that goes over our check-in system. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Chad for our Q&A.
Great, thanks, Gary. And before the Q&A, we're going to go over some updates. So if you've been coming to these tech talks, you may have been hearing us, what's coming up in the next update. We have some good news about things that are actually already in the system. We just did a deployment of some new features, I think it was last week. So some of the updates that we've been saying are coming are already here. One of those being the improvements to the accessibility function. So we just made it more accessible for attendees and staff. We also added some additional design options for badges, certificates, and CE reports. Some additional data exports, which Garrett just showed one of them, where I can see attendees with no check-ins. Also the new notification for new registrations. So we can actually have an admin receive an email every time there's a new online registration that's been completed. This is to kind of help you know when an attendee has registered rather than having to go into Conference Tracker and see. You can actually just simply receive an email every time an attendee or a new attendee registers. And then a push notification for exhibitors. So if you're using the exhibitor lead retrieval app, you now can send out text messages, push notifications to your exhibitors that are using the Leads app. Which is going to take us to our Q&A section. Let me see if we have any questions yet. It's going to take us to our Q&A section. While we're waiting for some questions, just know that if you do have any additional questions about the check-in system, you can always email comptrack@engineerica.com, or you have our phone number as well. You can always give us a call and talk to Garrett or one of our support reps. And if you have any sales-related questions, you can always email or give me a call as well at chadb@engineerica.com. So I do see one question, and it's asking, is the
one question in the chat? Oh.
Yeah, and the question is the check-in system available to everyone? And yes, so the check-in whether it's the check-in station or the staff member checking attendees in, is part of the basics package. So you'll be able to utilize that just within basics. The only thing I would point out is there is a feature that you would have to have registration, right? So if you want attendees or attendees that haven't registered yet to be able to register themselves through the self-serving kiosk, you would have to have the registration package as well. Garrett, if you want to take care of the other question. Oh, let's see.
Yes, I've got a couple. Oh, Sarah asked if you could repeat that.
Okay. Yeah, so the question was, is the sign-in portion, is it included for everyone? And it is. So if you just have our basics package, which everyone does, you'll be able to utilize the check-in system itself, whether it's the self-serving kiosk or where staff can check in attendees. The only functionality within the check-in that won't be available to you unless you have additional packages would be the registration. So if you want attendees to be able to register through the check-in stations, you have to have our registration package.
Awesome, thank you so much for that. And we do have another question from Aaron. He asks, is the new feature regarding emails for new registrations available to use yet? And if so, where's that setting located? And I can show you that really quick, Aaron, because that is one of our available with the last update features. So for that one, we're going to go to advanced options and settings. And this setting is available in both the exhibitor and attendee registration sections. And it's going to be right here with the new registration notification. You'll toggle this on and enter the email or emails that you want to receive those notifications to. And like I said, that's both the attendee registration settings and the exhibitor registration settings as well.
Great, and I'm not seeing any other questions. But again, if you do have any questions, if it's more support related, definitely contact support. If it's sales related, please, you can reach out to support or myself as well, and I can answer any questions that you have. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Remember, it's every third Tuesday of each month at 1 Eastern. We really appreciate you joining us today, and we'll be sending out the recording here shortly. Now, after the webinar is over, once it's ended, you will be prompted over to a survey. We really just want to get your thoughts and your ideas and see if you like this Tech Tuesday portion so that we can continue to do it. And again, I appreciate everyone's time and I hope you have a great rest of your day.